Hello, welcome back to my channel, my Michael S10 Shopping Garage. Peace everyone, how's everything going? And I hope everyone survived the bitter cold we've had over the past 3 weeks and the snow we've had. Reason why I've lagged on getting this video, doing this video, and doing a lot of research, and still doing some research on the bolt for my '08 Pontiac G6 3.5. Now, for the information I've gathered so far, and I tried this, I didn't put it back together yet, but I was hoping, and I looked into this after the fact, for the Pontiac 3.6, which I did not know existed, but I do know about the 3.9. The 3.5 that I have is basically the oddball, or it's a one of a kind. It takes a very specific type 10.9 class bolt. I have some bolts and the washers ordered, and one from a store, and some other bolts from a store, some washers, and I am going by my best choice on this, and I'll bring you up to speed on that on the next video. But I want to show you the information I have so far. As you read this information, please look up like the MPa megapascals, and you'll learn even more, but this is enough for what I need. The 3.9 will not work. 3.6 won't work. This picture of this bolt's for the 3.6. I was really hoping, praying that it would work, but it didn't. And I looked into it more, it doesn't interchange. Okay, this here just a little bit. Now, for me to judge on modifying a washer off of the 3.6 bolt setup I bought, and I did this in a previous video I haven't put up yet, the thickness compared to the OEM, and if you can actually see it, it's going to be a bit tough, but I'm going to try. Bit of a thickness difference, as you can see. Well, a spindle nut, or should I say CV axle nut, just so happens to be the size I need as far as the flange for how I cut the one off the 3.6 to get it to work. I'm hoping the weight difference is not going to affect. All I can do is hope and pray on this. Now, one of the bolts I bought is this one, and it's not a flange, and it's a 10.9, which is good. 8.8. And the information that I just showed you shows you the difference from the 8.8 to a 10.9. If I get this to show up fairly good. Between these two, I would choose the 10.9, but I'm hoping tomorrow that the 2 bolts of the washers get delivered, because it's been delayed because of the weather. And if those don't work, here's how this will end up working, more than likely. Not too much of a difference on this. And not being a flange bolt. And if worst comes to worst, I'll do it this way. Makeshift flange. Then the washer. And I'm probably going to have to cut a bit of the bolt off because I don't want it to bottom out, try to be torquing it, and then on a torque gauge another 90 degrees or quarter turn and snap or strip something. Then I'm in a whole heap of deep trouble. So, right at the same. That was my gauge. And I do recommend Scotch-Brite and clean off the balancer snout, goes onto the crank snout, or collar I should say, and there's no micro grooves that I can feel with a thumbnail. So we're good. I don't even know if we get a sleeve for this or not. I need to ask and find out just in case. And I've said the OEM bolt, which I made to a stud, and OEM washer, and that's going to be just about right on the money for this. There's just a bit of difference, as you can see, but I'll cut that part off. Now, onward here a bit. This is for the VVT, the variable valve timing, off of it. And of course, timing cover, ready to go back on. These three bolts are of a T30 Torx. The seal, take a small pick and carefully pull the old one out and put the new one in, and you've got it. I'm going to hopefully just put that back on the timing cover, as you see, and with the new gasket, that without the crank seal and probably without the variable valve time, which goes here and the crank to there, and some sealant and some heat, and I will show you this as we get into this later on as the snow melts and gets warmer for a warm stretch and get this car back on the road. The only difference other than the length for a 3.6 to a 3.5, 10.9, the washer, which is a bit bigger, has to be cut down like I did with this one at about 1/8 inch, but use the guide that you have like I did here, or your own guide, or however you're going to do it. There's different ways of doing it. There's the exact measurement you need, because technically this is the barrel, as they call it, which is from the washer up here to the end of the thread. That's the 12 millimeter. The thread pitch in between the threads is the 1.5, and then the 14 or 18, depending on. It's highly recommended. Highly recommended! Exclamation point. Do not, maybe I used the wrong word, recommended. Do not use the same crank bolt. I've called dealerships up, I've called the auto stores, I've gone to auto stores, I've gone on Google. Do not use this OEM bolt again. I can't find a bolt nowhere for the replacement. Dealerships, auto stores, the numbers, the item, the bolt itself. 3.6, 3.9s. I think there's a 3.4, but the 3.5 I cannot find. I am still looking, and like I said earlier in the video, I've ordered 2 bolts. That's not a direct replacement, but I'm getting another choice to see which one I'm going to actually use. I will let you know. But do not, exclamation point, use that OEM bolt again. You'll more than likely regret it, and so would I. I'm not going to risk it. That's what I do not recommend you to do. But that's the barrel size you do need versus the barrel size you don't need, but the thread pitch is the same. It's that close. But that's just the way it is. Okay, everyone. Oh, sorry about that. Peace out. Stay warm. Stay safe till we get the warmer weather. Staying around for a while. Then I will get back to you and bring up another update on this and get it back together and get her running. It is a long, drawn-out process because of the time of year, and I did not know that these bolts or bolt is torque to yield. I'm also finding out that when I did the video on replacing the lower control arm on my 08 Pontiac, even suspension bolts are a torque to yield. I just haven't re-looked at the bolts I reused, because if they are a torque to yield, I got to replace them bolts, and probably from my 010 Aveo, the same thing. I want to replace those bolts when I go to do the timing belt. That'll be a whole other video. So I'm learning as this goes along. Oh, and by the way, before I forget this, I've called up speed shops. They can't get this bolt. I've called other performance stores. They can't even make this bolt. And I can't get an answer why they can't. They just don't. And I asked a performance store, when did all this start with the torque to yield bolt? Mid-80s to now. So be very careful. I'm learning this too. Apparently no one other than myself, I suppose, that I've watched has mentioned anything about torque to yield other than specifying looking for the bolts. So Google this, do some research. I'm doing all I can, and let's keep our fingers crossed. This is the first time I've run into this. So if it all works out good for me, then I will have total faith in what I have done. I can get it back together running. It's just the bolt situation. So I'm being extra careful and a little longer doing this for myself and for you. I don't like to be misled or be misleading. I'm doing all that I can. Thank you so much for understanding. Keep the wrenches turning. Watch it easy on the knuckles. Until next video. Thank you so much and have a great one.